So, hi everyone, I'm Jason from Group 2. So, this is how we deploy our Python web app, which is either Flask or Django, uh, in Heroku. So, we've tried both of the methods, which is one with Flask, another one with Django. And although Flask is much more simpler, much more faster, the Django took a bit of more steps and tweaking to get it working. So the first step we did was to create a virtual environment for our Python app and later initialize a Git repo for it. Uh, so this is the we already did it initially, so we didn't need to do it. But just in case the web app did not have wasn't created in a virtual environment and also did not create a Git repo, we can actually do this step at the beginning. Basically, we install a virtual environment, then we change to the location that we want to make our folder. Then we make our folder, change directory to the folder. Then here we create a virtual environment with the name, say the Django environment or Flask environment. And then next step is to activate our virtual environment. Once the virtual environment is activated, now we have to install the libraries involved. In our case, it's either Flask or Django. So after that, we can proceed to building the web app. Uh, I assume this isn't an issue because this won't affect the deployment. Uh, because the web app was already done previously in Milestone 1, so now it's only focused on deploying it. So for the first time in deploying the web app, we first have to pip install Unicorn, and later the next one is to create a proc file with this command. It depends on whether we are using Flask or Django. If it's Flask, is follow this command, and we basically Unicorn, and the app to run is basically the name of our Flask app. In this case, it's actually, as you can see on the right hand side, it's actually app.py, so we name it app. For the Django, it's a different command, slightly different. In here is that the name of the application and dot what WSGI whiskey in the profile. The naming for this app here is follows the uh, the how to say the server one, the server folder, which is in this case for me is my site my site. So the Django app I write my site dot whiskey. And in the Django, there's another step that we'll take, which is to pip install the Django on Heroku. This is to facilitate the deployment of the Django on Heroku much faster and much more uh, streamlined. And like I mentioned just now, the Django will have some extra steps. So in here, after we make the prop file, we have to go to the settings.py, which is in under the the server app. In settings.py, the first thing you need to do at the top of the settings.py is to import these two. One is the OS, another one is there's now the Django on Heroku that we installed, as you can see here on the right hand side. And the next thing to do is to, at the end of the settings.py, we'll go to the end of the settings.py. Yeah, so we basically write this. Here's to activate the library, Django and Heroku, and then later here is for the static files. once we are done with that, we are almost ready lah. Now we basically got to turn all the debugging parameters from true to false. In Flask is I think the debug parameter is located in your app.py under the when you want to run the Flask app. So here from debug equals true, write it become false. In the Django is in the settings.py, uh, settings.py somewhere at the top. Here, turn from debug equals true to false. Okay. In the Django, there's another extra step. Here since we are making we're going to deploy, we only want to allow certain hosts. And here we actually would write the name of our Heroku link with the project link, which I think you later make it, and then local host, and also your local uh, what you say, the local domain name. So once that is done, here is where the virtual environment was needed lah. Basically we will write pip freeze. Here this basically they collect all the dependencies that we install in our virtual environment and put them in the requirements.txt. If you look at the requirement.txt file, they basically show all the libraries that we use and what version number they are. So once we do that, this applies to both Flask and Django. After that, we basically stage our entire application in Git and then later commit locally lah. So right now we are ready to push to Heroku using Git. So the next step to do is to basically install the Heroku command line interface if you haven't done so, and then log into Heroku. So basically I do install Heroku login. When you run this command, they'll basically open the Heroku page in the browser, the login page, and you can log in through that lah, if you save your password on your browser. Then you can run this command here to test whether your Heroku is working locally. And then the next step to do is to basically run this command where you create a project for your web app in Heroku. And then later that, what you can do is, I think this you create remotely. This is a remote repo for your web server in Heroku. And after that, you can straight git push Heroku master. This basically push just now that you committed the project to Heroku server. So here basically you already deploy already lah. After that, after from this command, they'll basically tell you this is the link. For example, you see it down here. They basically this is the link to deploy. So if I click that link, I can go to the web app. Now for the Django, there's an extra step. After that, you basically run this Python manage.py migrate. Here's to do a lot of linking and syncing between the files, and database and all that. And after that, you can just, if you're lazy to click the link, you can run this command Heroku open, and you'll pop up the web app, the link with the web. So just to show you that I actually did it, here's the Django in Heroku. Let's open the app. Take a while because Heroku actually put the app to sleep if it's not used in use. So here's my just web app of Django. I wrote a poem because of how painstaking deploying Django on Heroku was compared to Flask. I think Flask I only took like an hour or two, but the Django one it took me like almost half a day. Yeah. So and this is the Flask app. tell me something, Flask. Uh, it's basically just a series of HTML pages. Can tell me a quote, yeah, and tell me a joke, tell me a cool fact, and you tell me a misconception. Basically, just tell me something, kind of web app. Yeah, so that's how it got deployed. And okay, let's say since this is the end of the story, we deployed our app. So let's say we want to make changes to our app. And after we make changes, we want to push those changes to Heroku. So we basically want to redeploy our app lah. So we basically just follow the same few steps. We make the debug parameter false again, and if we install any new dependencies, we basically pip freeze to the requirement.txt file, and then later we basically just run the whole git commands again, git add, git commit, and then git push to Heroku master. So that's the later just push the changes to the Heroku, and then we are done. Everything is will be updated. So yeah, that's how we did our deployment. So if you have any questions, just comment in the comment section. So yeah, that's it for me. Thanks guys. Bye.